Hello everyone and welcome to Aviation Insider's YouTube channel. I'm Olivia and today we're going to be interviewing Ben Hall from Pilot Base. The aim of this video is just to find out a bit more about the company and we're going to be asking a few questions. So let's get right started. So tell me about your company and what you have to offer, and a bit about yourself as well.
Hi Olivia, and hi to Aviation Insider listeners. It's really good to be here. So Pilot Base, it's basically a new little company that I've founded. I think it's pretty great, but I'm a little bit biased by that. And we're just really happy with our progress and growth in what's been a pretty short amount of time. So there's three of us that founded it. So there's myself. So I've got a background in commercial aviation. So I've worked in the Middle East for Etihad Airways for 8 years. Came back to the UK. I flew for a special mission operator for a couple of years, and then I worked for British Airways for about 18 months flying the A380. So I'm kind of the aviation expert, I guess. And then we have a chap called Paul, who is like a really experienced like technology product manager. And then we have a guy called Pete, who is like the business whiz of the company, basically. And he actually completed an MBA a couple of years ago using Pilot Base as his main project. So there's been like a lot of thought put into the plan of the whole thing.
Great. It sounds fantastic. What are you hoping to achieve with the company then? What's your goal for the company?
So, I mean, this sounds a little bit aspirational, but we're looking to like revolutionize the whole pilot recruitment process around the world.
Right.
I know saying words like revolutionize is a little bit dramatic, but we genuinely believe it's required. I mean, aviation is a bit of a weird industry. It's incredibly forward thinking in lots of aspects, but there are a few areas which are really stuck in the past. And I think any pilot will attest to that. And unfortunately, recruitment seems to be one of those areas where change is really, really slow. So I guess our end goal is for the whole industry to be a lot more transparent and efficient for everybody. So in terms of transparency, and I know Aviation Insider are trying to fix this as well, but there's a bit of a black hole of information, and any information that is available is kind of split all over the place in little bits and pieces. And with recruitment, specifically like interview processes, terms and conditions of jobs, whether sort of employees like their jobs, and general career options. And we're looking to sort of plug that hole and then combine that with an actual practical solution for finding jobs.
Fantastic. So in terms of recruitment, obviously things have been quite difficult with recruitment and recruiting pilots this year because of the pandemic. So how have you been supporting those pilots in other ways that potentially can't find a job at the moment because of coronavirus?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough year for everybody, hasn't it? I'm actually one of the pilots that's been directly impacted as well. So I lost my job, made redundant from British Airways a couple of months ago. So I really understand what people are going through. I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because nobody really knows when jobs are going to come back. But the best, I guess, we can all do is put ourselves in that situation to give ourselves the best chance of getting employed. So from Pilot Base's point of view, we've contacted literally hundreds of airlines, private jet firms, air schools, bush flying operations. I mean, literally anybody that might employ pilots. We've been in contact just to understand if and when they might be recruiting, and then trying to sort of post all the jobs possible that pop up as soon as possible on Pilot Base to keep our users sort of as up to date as possible.
Yeah.
And also we've been providing sort of extra support for pilots throughout the year. So we've had loads of pilots contact us through pilotbase.com or via LinkedIn, just getting sort of general advice. We've sort of designed CVs. We've provided insights on applications and interview processes. And just generally, we're a bit of a friendly place for support, really. We can help you with anything you want, and we're not gonna charge you anything.
That's great. I definitely think that's something that's needed, especially at the moment. And you mentioned your job platform. So is that just a place where you display any and all jobs that come up relating to aviation then?
Yeah, so the job platform is a bit of a project that I've been working on for absolute years, and it's only just come to fruition this year because I've had the time to actually work on it properly. Currently, we're using it as a bit of an aggregator. So we're finding jobs from anyone that will give us jobs, basically, and we're putting them on the website just so basically pilots can have one place to see as many jobs as possible. And then when you click apply, it just links off to whatever website that job came from.
Right. So you're kind of making it a hub for anyone who's looking for a job as well.
Yeah, exactly. We want the end goal, very much like Aviation Insider, is anyone looking for a job in the piloting world will come to Pilot Base. We'll have pretty much everything. And then they can sort of search based on their license and hours and type ratings and stuff like that. And they can really see what they're qualified for and then be able to narrow it down to what they actually want.
That sounds fantastic. So in terms of new products as well, I've noticed that you have got a podcast that you're going to be releasing. Can you tell me a bit more about that and what that's going to involve?
Yeah, the podcast, I mean, as you can probably tell, I'm new to the whole media business here. So the podcast I found really, really challenging, but also really exciting. So we're aiming for like an easy listening, non-technical podcast, just with some really cool people from the aviation industry. So we've got like a really nice range of guests that should hopefully appeal to anyone interested in aviation, not just pilots. We've got some episodes which are kind of just really interesting stories about flying adventures from both the commercial and military worlds. And so they've got cool stories, but they also provide sort of insight of how they got there and challenges they had, and a bit of advice for people that might want to follow their path. But we've also got some cool insights from non-pilot professionals. So we've spoken to pilot recruiters, aviation psychologists, professors, journalists, speaking about all sorts of stuff to do with aviation. So yeah, they've been really eye-opening, to be honest.
That sounds really interesting. Are any of them published yet, or are they when are they going up?
No, so we've recorded the first season, which will be 10 episodes. They'll be launching in the end of January next year, so 2021. And then from then on, it'll be one a week. So the first season is going to be 10 episodes weekly. And then we've got about 40 guests lined up at the moment. So that should take us through all the way through 2021, hopefully.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And where are they going to be published to?
Pretty much anywhere you can get your podcasts. So it'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Don't know where else is there. Loads of places. Anywhere you want it, and we'll have a YouTube recording of it as well.
Great, that sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to listening to those myself then as well. In terms of the whole training and job aspect of the career and finding jobs, what point of view would you give on people wanting to start training at this sort of time with the pandemic ongoing, etc.?
Oh, Olivia, it's a tricky one at the moment, isn't it?
Why I've asked it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the aviation world is weird at the best of times, right? It's very cyclical. It's up and down. This year has been a particular outlier, shall we say? But there will be a recovery. Obviously, there are absolutely loads of pilots that are unemployed at the moment. So those experienced pilots are probably going to plug the gap first. But with any sort of recovery, you're going to get new little airlines popping up, little startups. You're going to have electric aircraft operators in the not too distant future. And the whole thing is a bit sort of self-reliant. It's as soon as one company picks up, then a pilot will move, and then there'll be a gap somewhere else. And also, you've always got retirements and stuff. So I don't know. I think for me personally, I wouldn't start right now. I would kind of look into it. I might look into doing modular instead of integrated potentially, just to kind of slow the process down and to give yourself a bit more options. So potentially you could work and train at the same time to give yourself a bit of a backup. But I think if you start training in the not too distant future, it's going to take a couple of years and the world is going to look very different by that point anyway. So
that's some sound advice.
I wouldn't
try and look into ways.
I wouldn't say don't do it, but I think maybe just take it slow.
Yeah, and I think modular is definitely a really good option, especially for people that potentially want to continue working as well alongside things. So I definitely agree with you on that one. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention about your company? Tell us about anything else that you wanted to tell us about that you've got coming up or that you're excited to talk about.
Well, everybody should be coming to pilotbase.com, of course. And so basically, what we've got at the moment is a jobs board, sort of advice section, and then a section for employers. So it's kind of in 3 sections. The actual application, so the jobs board, we're developing pretty quickly. So we've got a team of developers working on it. So very early next year, we're going to get the next sort of major release, which is going to have an area where pilots can log in, keep all their pilot details. And that's going to act as like a data hub, I guess, to then run loads of cool tools from. So we're going to start being able to match automatically to jobs, and we can give you alerts when you get jobs that match. We'll be able to completely sort of streamline the application process, so you won't have to fill in all those ridiculous forms anymore because all your information's there, so you can just automatically shove it through. So yeah, we've got some really cool plans for 2021. So in the not too distant future, get over to pilotbase.com, sign yourself up, and we'll keep you informed.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And to anyone watching, if you want to find out some more information, you can either visit aviationinsider.com or, as we've talked about, pilotbase.com, who are Aviation Insider's partners. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you.